Today, as part of TSAT online lectures, I warmly welcome you all to this session of English lecture on writing skills. This is me, Jyoti Priya, lecturer in English, TSWREIS, Jagatgiri Gutta. Today, writing plays a very important role in creating job opportunities for students and for those who are seeking employment. Whether you are at your college, at the workplace, or at the community level, writing is a crucial part of any application form that you are filling up. It enables us to connect with our readers, the people outside our own society, and to the global market. It is very important to remember that scholarship and language plays a very, very important role in balancing and fine-tuning a good piece of work. Most of the science and engineering students often ask me that, Madam, we are not able to incorporate good quality writing in our essays or in any piece of work because they are so much focused on the subject rather than on the language aspect of it. So today we will try to address these issues of writing so that we can incorporate good ideas, good topics, and good strategies in order to improve our writing. Today we have a lot of books accessible to us through online or even offline because somebody has chosen to write about it. And therefore, here begins the story of writing. So today in this session, we will be looking at the 5 W's and the H question in English. What are the 5 W's and what is the H question? How do we incorporate these 5 W's and H in our writing? The second aspect that we will be dealing is that statement of purpose. What is a statement of purpose? Why do we write a statement of purpose? And how do we write a statement of purpose? This is an essential part of any application form that you are applying for when you go for a postgraduate or graduate program overseas or even within India. The third aspect that you will be looking at is how to write a good essay. This is one of the major concerns that students face while writing an essay because students are basically focused on giving a lot of information, but they falter when it comes to language. So how do we use language as well as information to make the perfect essay possible? And finally, I'll be ending this session with some tips on how to fine-tune and to polish your writing so that your writing can stand out when it comes to participating in competitions, or whether you are writing for a contest or maybe you are writing an entrance examination. So these will be some of the strategies which we will be looking at when we discuss about writing. So to begin with, what are the 5 W's and the H question? Let us look at the slide. The 5 W's in English are who, what, where, when, why, and how. I repeat, who, what, where, when, why, and how. Now let us look at each of these 5 W's and H question. Right. The first why, or for the first W, is who. Who is the subject or an actor in a particular situation or a context or in a story? For example, Marie Curie was one of the scientists who invented radioactivity. So what is who in this sentence? Who is Marie Curie? Let me take another example. See, we have this novel by Agatha Christie, The Mysterious Affair at Styles by Agatha Christie. So who is the author of this book? Agatha Christie. So she is the subject of the write-up or the book, right? So the next or the second W is what. What refers to what happens in a particular context or in an event or in a situation. For example, what happened on the night of the tragedy? Maybe Anna was fast asleep when the robbers slipped away from the house without a noise. So basically, what talks about the context or the climax in a particular situation. The third W is where. Where refers to the place where something has happened. For example, where did the Jallianwala Bagh massacre take place? Where was the author born? Where was Anna born? Where are you from? These are some of the questions that you ask for gathering information about the place or about an incident that happened in a particular place, in a particular situation. The fourth W is when. When signifies the date and time a particular incident or a particular happening has occurred in a situation. For example, when did COVID-19 begin? Or when did COVID-19 spread to the outside world? This is one of the most important questions that you need to ask. Then, the fifth W is why. This is the most important question of all the 5 W's. Why signifies or refers to the reason or the cause behind why something happens. For example, why was the earth formed the way it has been for so many years? Or why did the British rule in India end in 1947 and not in 1950 or 1960 for that matter? See, even Newton questioned about why the apple does not go up and falls down. So this led to the theory of relativity or the gravitational force. So we can see that so many inventions and discoveries have been happening because people have asked these questions. Right? Then the final H refers to how. It signifies the means or the process by which something happens. For example, how was the earth formed 1 billion years ago? How did this happen? How was the meeting? How was the party like? Did you enjoy it? So these are some of the questions that you ask when you are in a particular situation with somebody else. So when you implement these 5 W's and H question in your piece of writing, you gather all information that is required for you to complete your piece of work. These are your best friends. Now, let us try to implement these 5 W's and the H question in a particular piece of work called the statement of purpose. Now, what is a statement of purpose? A statement of purpose is a part of an application form, or it is a statement which tells the administrators who you are, why you are applying for it, or maybe you are applying for a postgraduate or a graduate degree abroad, or maybe you are applying for a scholarship within the country. So all these will tell the administrator why you have applied for this particular grant and why you deserve to be given this privilege. So let us try to understand what is a statement of purpose. So basically, a statement of purpose has 3 parts: the beginning, the middle, and the end. So before you start writing your statement of purpose, gather your credentials, gather all your experience certificates, all your skills that you have, so that you can connect and align the purpose of your statement of purpose to what you are applying for. For example, if you are applying for an MBA graduation degree, for example, I'm a BCom student and I'm applying for an MBA degree. So what do I need to do? The first thing that you need to include in a statement of purpose is that you need to inspire them with a story. That is, you have to tell them your objective for applying to this. That is, you can tell a story saying that I have completed my graduation in 2008 and I'm completely satisfied and contented with my degree, and that's why I want to pursue my post-graduation in so-and-so university. So the first thing that you need to remember is, in a statement of purpose, is inspiration. So let me write it down for you. SOP, that is statement of purpose, and the first thing is, or the first step is inspiration. Right? Inspiration is the key of your introductory part of an SOP. That's the first step. You could even begin by telling a personal experience by which you got inspired to do that particular program, or maybe you can tell them your own experiences that have led to choosing that particular degree. Now, when you say all these things, the second thing that you need to write is that I told you earlier that you need to gather all your experiences, your skills, and then your work experience, any kind of internships that you have attended, or any kind of programs that you have attended. So if you have made a list of all these things, you can include them and tell them that yes, I have done all these things. And then you relate it to the course that you have applied for, or you relate it to the grant that you have applied for, and reinforce this idea that you are really serious about applying for this course. So the second thing that you need to do is that you need to mention your experiences. So let me write it down for you. Experiences or skills. Right? So this is the second step that you need to write. The third thing, or the third step that is very essential part of your SOP is that you need to do your homework. That is, you need to research about the grant or the scholarship or the college that you have applied for, and tell them why you have chosen this college or why you have chosen this university. Maybe they are offering some courses that are not offered by other universities or other colleges. So you need to tell them that, having seen that this particular university is offering so many facilities, I believe that my fundamentals are very strong with my graduation. But if I take up this particular course in your university, I will be able to fine-tune my knowledge, my skills, and upgrade my ability to work with others. So all these can be a part of your third step. Show them that you care. That is, you do your research. For instance, if there are some professors in that particular university whose courses you like and which they are also interested to endorse, then why not include them? Tell them that you have done your research. Tell them that you know them, that you are interested in the particular course that is offered by that particular professor. So the third and the most important aspect of your SOP is show them you care and you belong. So I'll write it down for you. That is belongingness or care. And then what do you do next? In a statement of purpose, you should always show instead of tell that you are very serious about what you're going to do. For example, if you are pursuing a postgraduate course, maybe a person called as Sunita is pursuing wants to pursue a postgraduate course, then she has to show rather than tell that she is deserving of this opportunity because she is genuinely passionate about it and she definitely wants to belong to this university. So reinforce this idea that yes, you want to do this particular course in this particular university. So the fourth step is reinforcement. Reinforcement. And then finally, what you write at the end of a statement of purpose. At the end of a statement of purpose, tell them that you are planning to have a long association with them in case your SOP is accepted or your application is accepted. So these are the 5 stages or the 5 steps that you need to include or incorporate in a statement of purpose. Since you have already learned about the 5 W's and the H question, shall we try to see how do these fit into the statement of purpose? So what is who here? The first W, who. Who refers to you who are applying for the course or at a particular university or a college. The second, what. What is the application form? You are applying for a particular graduate program or a scholarship or a grants for a certain purpose or a certain reason. That is what. Then third, where. Of course, to the university you are applying for or the college you are applying for that you dream of. Then fourth W is when. When obviously at the time of your application form or the time when you are planning to submit your application form along with the SOP. And then finally, why you're doing it. Why do you want to pursue this particular course only in this particular university? And how? It refers to the process by which all this application takes place. I know that the application process is a very lengthy process, especially when you are applying to overseas universities in US or Canada. This application process will be a very lengthy and a very grueling process. But then it's worth it. It's definitely worth it if you are ready to put in the efforts and if you are ready to follow these 5 steps and the 5 W's that I have taught you. Right? So one more important problem that many students face is how to write a good essay. Let us see. How to write a good essay. Now basically what is an essay? An essay is a piece of work or a piece of writing that discusses or elaborates an idea on a particular topic or a particular subject. So there are different kinds of essay, like narrative essay, which talks about this, which has a very story formulae, which is used to express the particular story in different sequences. Then we have the persuasive essay, we have the narrative essay, and then argumentative essay, discursive essay. But basically essay. So an essay is a very interesting and a very fundamental piece of work that actually can have lots of potential for improvement. Whether you are writing for competitive examinations or whether you are writing for a contest, or maybe in your college there is an opportunity for you to write a particular essay. So how do you do that? So always remember, an essay is a 5-part segment or a 5-part pattern. For example, let me write it down for you. So essay. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and then 5. We have listed down this. Now the first segment is introduction. We all know this, right? Introduction. And the final segment is conclusion. Introduction and conclusion. Now let me take an example of an essay. Can e-learning replace traditional classroom? This is the topic of the essay. Now how do you write it? How do you start your essay? Now this is just an example. But depending on the kind of essay, your introduction should be framed. For example, if it is a philosophical question like write about wisdom, for instance. So you define what is wisdom, because my definition of wisdom is different from others' definition of wisdom. Therefore, I have to define what wisdom is, and then I can quote what others say of wisdom, and then I can relate it to something called as truth. And then I can go to the historical background, from where wisdom started, the terminology, the etymology, and all that. So, in this particular essay, for example, if a girl or Sunita, say she's writing this essay, how will she start the essay? In the introduction part, since can e-learning replace traditional classroom? So then this is a very contemporary issue that after during the pandemic, we are resorting to online avenues. So how do we start? We can start by currently describing the scenario around us. That is, after the pandemic situation, or as the pandemic has commenced in India, people are resorting to online resources, and schools and colleges have shut down, and therefore about 285 million children or students are resorting to internet and Google for information. So this can be the introduction. This introduction should show clearly that you have understood the topic very well. It's very, very important. You have to follow what is asked of you. So the first thing that you need to know is that you need to have a good introduction. You need to tell them that you have understood, explain the current scenario, how the schools have shut down, and then how the students are resorting to online resources. The body, when it comes to body, the second part, what will you write? Maybe you can talk about the benefits of classroom learning, wherein there is a face-to-face communication with the teacher and student. Maybe you can also tell them that students are paid more attention when it comes to classroom learning. And then there are some cons. Maybe the teacher cannot focus on all students alike, and maybe there is a teacher-centric approach rather than a student-centric approach. So you can give some of the benefit, the advantages or the disadvantages of classroom learning, as well as advantages and disadvantages of online learning. So the second aspect can be for or against. That is, how are you for or against online or offline learning? So this has to be the second aspect of it. The third, or the body, the third aspect or the third paragraph in your essay should detail the current scenario or the challenges that are facing the online education system, because today is an era of online and internet connectivity. So we need to tell what are some of the challenges. For example, as compared to overseas universities, they have massive open online courses. But India is a little far behind when it comes to offering these courses to upgrade their skills and knowledge. So when you say quotes statistical data, it gives us an impression that you know what you're talking about, right? And then the second challenge you can say is that there are issues with internet connectivity, there are issues with people not being able to access information online, even still, because they are living in remote areas and marginalized sections cannot access it. So this can be some of the challenges, right? So the third aspect will be the challenges. The challenges. All right. So once you have written the challenges, the fourth paragraph can be about some of the schemes that are being introduced. What are the schemes that the country has introduced to make online resources available to students? For example, Bharat Padhao Online, right? And other e-Pathashala and all other resources which are available in different platforms can be quoted. You can reinforce this idea that yes, India is trying to have different avenues for different students and making its citizens or students access its facilities. So these can be some of the points that you can mention. That is the fourth step. So the fourth step will be reinforcement. Reinforcement. Or you can say it is schemes. Some of the schemes, right? Alright, I have written this. Alright. So some of the schemes that you will be writing in the fourth aspect. So the fifth aspect is the conclusion. I mean, it got bad, right? Alright, conclusion. What do you say in conclusion? Instead of concluding in a holistic way, you can say that there is a way forward to India. If India is able to overcome its digital divide, and if it is able to solve problems of internet connectivity, then it can go a long way in making accessible online resources to its students. So this is the step that you need to follow for writing an essay, the 5-segmented essay. Now, it is very important for you to remember that now you have gathered all the information that is necessary for you to write this essay. But what about the language part? This is where many students stumble upon. How do you do this? One of the many ways that you can try to improve your essay is that the first line and the last line of every paragraph needs to summarize the argument of that particular paragraph. For example, you are writing introduction. Try to summarize it. The introduction, the initial line and the final line should actually summarize the idea. The second, whether it's second paragraph or third paragraph, fourth paragraph, try to summarize it. So, because in many of the competitive exams, what happens is that the readers who are reading your essays do not have the time to read each and every word of it. So, what do? Immediately try to include some nice lines in the first or the last line that summarizes or gives a holistic opinion about the whole essay. So this is one of the ways you can do it. The second one what you can do is to include some nice quotes. Include some nice quotes. Maybe you can say that if it is education, related to education, you can say that dreams are not what you see at night. Dreams are not what that does not make you sleep. Now this is quoted by APJ Abdul Kalam. Now you have to acknowledge that it is being quoted, it was said by Abdul Kalam, which makes your essay much more interesting. Online is offline. This is one of the most famous phrases that we use these days. So all these can enhance your essay. And the third most important aspect of any writing is that please try to have a unique personality. Try to bring a unique you in your paper, because this is what will set you apart from the rest, right? Try to think about the topic on your own. Try to see what you can add to the topic, how you can be different. What can you say differently from what others have said? Because this will ensure that your paper will be remembered even after the reader has discarded it and kept it aside. Right? This should be the main intention, right, of writing a good essay. And now, the most important aspect or the stages of writing is, there are 5 different stages in any part, in any piece of writing. Say maybe you are planning to write a story, or maybe you are writing an article. Always remember, if you are doing that right now, please kindly follow these 5 steps. I'm very sure that you will be very successful in having a perfect essay. So the first step is brainstorming. Brainstorm. What is it? What story you want to tell? What is the objective of your story? What are the characters? What is the climax? What is the ending of the story? Try to brainstorm. Try to be creative. The next aspect is you are going to write the main ideas. Write it down. This is what you're going to write. This is what you're going to write next. This is what you're going to write next. So when you have this idea, your mind is more disciplined and it's much more comprehensive. The third aspect is you write your first draft. Write your first draft. Yes, this is much more structured than the made ideas part, but this is much more fine-tuned and much more polished. So include some of the most important aspects that you wish to write in your essay. So this is the writing of the first draft. Then the fourth aspect is the editing. Editing can be self-editing or peer editing. I mean, if you think that you can edit it yourself, you can do that. Or delete them. All these forms a part of editing. And then finally, proofreading. Right? Proofreading means that you check your punctuation marks. You check if all the sentences are correct. If you check if there are any grammatical errors. So all these form part of proofreading. So in any part of or any piece of writing, all these 5 steps play a very, very important role. So give each step its own importance, right? And the next thing that you need to remember is plagiarism. Now, this is a very, very serious problem. Now, plagiarism means that you are borrowing someone's ideas, or you are borrowing someone's thoughts or the processes, and telling them as your own. For example, Sunita borrows a phrase from a book. Say, for example, to be or not to be is the question. She doesn't know who has said that, but she takes it from a book, and then she uses it in her writing unknowingly. Then what happens? She is plagiarizing it. She is definitely borrowing it, but then she is not acknowledging it. That is why it is not her own thought. That is why it is called as plagiarism. Therefore, think differently, write innovatively, right? And you need to always remember that one of the most important aspects of any writing is that you need to be very, very precise and very concise in your writing. I can tell you that reading is a sine qua non of writing, because I can only tell you the process of writing or the strategies of writing, but writing per se cannot be taught. Therefore, writing plays a very, very important role in expressing or persuading the other person. There are some job or career opportunities related to writing. For example, you have the career as a columnist in a newspaper or a magazine, or you have the opportunity of being a novelist or an author, and you have a lot of other host of opportunities that are available for you. All that you need to do is try to practice a lot. Try writing down something and working on it laboriously. This is the most important aspect of any writing. I hope you have learned something from this lesson today. I hope it was useful and interesting. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.